Afternoon, everyone. A little bit of context about me. I'm head of science in a secondary school in a place called Runcorn, which is just outside of Liverpool. We are a very challenging school. It can be very difficult at times, but we had a new head a couple of years ago, and with most schools, we've completely sort of transformed and overhauled our curriculum, and we started to drive a really sort of evidence-based, research-based approach to teaching and learning. Retrieval practice has taken off over the past sort of 5 to 10 years. If you ask any teacher, they always say, oh, yeah, I do retrieval practice in my lessons. I do it all the time. It's great. Fantastic. And I've got on the board behind us a little bit about sort of why we do retrieval practice. But what I really want to talk about today is how it's so important that we get retrieval practice right. And it isn't just something that we sort of tick boxes. We're doing this in our lessons, so it's done. Tick that off. The image behind me sort of shows where generally when students come into our classroom, they're at that low retrieval, low storage strength. So they're not very good at retrieving knowledge, and they're also not particularly good at storing it in the long-term memory either. I'm sure we've all been taught a wonderful lesson, and the next day we go in and we ask the class, oh, what did we do yesterday? And not a single student can remember anything from the lesson. And it's massively, massively frustrating. And what we want to really try and do with retrieval practice is move students from that bottom left-hand corner up into, not only is that knowledge easily retrievable for them, but it's also stored in their long-term memory as well. Okay? And the example I always use to students is the mobile phone. Yeah, every single student in that room can remember their mobile phone number without hesitation, really easily. And they say to me, well, it's because it's important. But actually, the principles of how they learn that mobile phone number, it's principles of how anybody learns anything. It was through lots of retrieval practice over and over again, whether they're writing it down all the time or whether they're repeating it to someone. And then, weeks, months, years later, they're constantly having to repeat it over and over again. It's the same principles that apply when we want them to learn anything. So what works according to the evidence is we want to expose those students to content that is from weeks ago, from months ago. If you're year 11s, you want to expose the students to content from year 10. And the further back that retrieval is, the greater the impact it's going to have. And one of the big sort of evidence-based approaches of retrieval practice is that actually we should teach the students the benefits of retrieval practice, not just have it as something we incorporate into our lessons, but tell students about it, tell students why it works. That has a massive impact. And so what I spoke about before is trying to avoid that lethal mutation of just having it as a tick box exercise that you include in your lessons. And actually we think about it as it being built into our entire curriculum, whether it is at the beginning of lessons, whether it's through our homework, whether it's through checking for understanding, that is actually interweaved through our entire science curriculum. One way we've been doing that is using a fantastic app called Tassami to sort of help aid that retention of knowledge. When I first joined the school, homework wasn't a particularly big thing. Homework in science was go home and design a cell cake and bring it in. And the only thing anybody learned from that was how to give parents an absolute panic attack the night before that homework was due, because all you got back was these cell cakes that had loads of A-level content on, and not a single year 7 knew anything about that cell at all. And we wanted to get rid of that. We wanted to move forward to a really sort of consistent homework that students would do on a weekly basis that would have really high levels of impact. So when I was looking around on the different apps, came across Tassami, which is where students answer multiple choice quiz questions on a daily basis. What I think sets Tassami apart from everything else is that it makes students, it's the phrase, eat their greens. Okay, so students go on, and after a while, the system will target questions at students that generally they performed poorly on previously. So they can't go on and just do the topics that they like. They can't always go on and pick the nice biology cells topic that they know they'll do really well at. They get forced into doing the topics that they don't enjoy or they don't like, and it forces them to get better and better and better. So students do daily practice. Questions will be repeated to help with that retention of knowledge. What it's worked well in our school is we've created a real culture of consistency with Tassami, to the point where students don't refer to science homework anymore. They just refer to it as, have you done your Tassami? Okay? To the point where I've had other staff members from departments come up to me in a fit of rage because they've caught students on their phone during lessons, and they thought they'd be on Instagram or TikTok, but they were actually trying to get their Tassami homework done for period 5. And while I profusely apologised to them secretly, I was like, yes, we're winning. That's what That's what it's about. We've created that culture where students want to and know they have to do that task every single week. How we've done that is to help find a real balance of the carrot and stick. So yes, we set consistent attentions, but this year we've massively pushed on setting not just consistent rewards as well, but having rewards with a complete random element to them. So occasionally we'll throw a pizza party, occasionally I'll go around and dish out vouchers for people who've had the highest success in the questions that they've answered. And we've run competitions as well on sort of monthly and yearly basis for it as well. And it's had a huge, huge impact in the number of students we've had answering questions. As you can see behind me, the black line at the bottom is sort of the global average of questions answered on a daily basis from sort of September to January. The green line was where our school was at this point last year, and the red line's where we are this year. So each year, we're getting more and more students completing more and more questions every single day. And how has it actually benefited us? I'm no longer, the couple of days before the GCSE exams, going to year 11 students, what's in an atom? Yeah, what does the nucleus do? Which used to drive me absolutely mad. What we found now is staff can spend more time on the really, really tough, difficult 6 markers, the really challenging content, and they're not having to go back over really basic core concepts, which has massively, massively helped us. I found that loads of students come up to us and say, oh, so I saw that on Tassmai last night when we get questions answered in class, and it's just hugely, hugely benefited for us. So anyone later wants to come talk to me about Tassmai, more than happy to do it. But the big thing for me is make sure your sanctions are always balanced with your rewards, and that will free up staff's time to concentrate on what's really, really important. Thank you very much.